Hello everybody, it's Bourbon Bill, and tonight, a very special episode. We're drinking a very secretive, limited bourbon that comes out once a year. That's right. Shh! It's Blood Oath Pact number 8. Huge shout out to my buddy Kevin for letting me borrow his bottle to film with. Not sure if he didn't get the wooden box or he used it for firewood already. We don't have it today. But, you know, it's just a wooden box with a slide cover. So that's what you'll see in the store if you're looking for one of these bad boys. Now, I think in most of the nation, these have dropped a while back. Here in PA, they just dropped here at the very end of September. So we're kind of behind the times here in Pennsylvania. MSRP for this bad boy, $120. 120 doll hairs if you want this. Like every Blood Oath, every year. The proof is 98.6 proof. Compute, which is 49.3% alcohol by volume. And you might go, why is it 98.6? That's very specific. That is the temperature of the human body, or human blood, as in Blood Oath. So there, if you didn't know that, you learned a fact today. There's a whole lot of good stuff on this label. So this year, it is finished in Calvados casks, which is like an apple brandy. So, should taste of apples, we hope, right? It says very limited release. However, here in Pennsylvania, there have been more bottles of this than Russell's Reserve 13, for instance. So, unsure how limited it really is. Now, here on the front, in this very hard to read, small, like I guess old-timey font, it gives you the good details. So let's read up. A masterful union of 3 well-bred rye bourbons, all with exceptional pedigree. We're talking about horses? We're talking about bourbon. It's hard to tell from the first part there. Alright, so basically it says it's a 14-year-old bourbon in here. Then there's an 11-year-old bourbon. And then there's an 8-year-old bourbon that they finish in the Calvados casks. So this is a partial Calvados finish. So the 14 and the 11-year are not finished. Only the 8-year is finished. So there's a good bit in here that's older that's not quite finished. They don't tell you where this comes from, right? So I actually don't know where this juice is. It kind of says someone here that, you know, they're so secretive and they made a pact never to disclose. They're not loyal to any distillery. Basically, they have, you know, some sort of agreement that they can't say where it comes from. So, it's Lux Row. It is a Lux Row product. But, you know, we don't really know where they're getting the juice right now. My palate's not good enough to tell you either from tasting it. And, I mean, that is what it is. So, is this 98.6 proof bourbon worth $120? We're going to get to tasting it, but I'll tell you right off the bat, we got a fun little metal emblem here. That adds a few dollars to the value. And glass embossing here on the side also adds to the value, as does the wooden box that we don't have right now. Alright, so color-wise, it's a little light. It's what you'd expect for 98.6 proof, okay? It's not going to be super dark at a low proof like that. So, apple brandy cask finishing, we should get, you know, I'm hoping tons of apple brandy. Let's give it a nosing. Ooh. I do get a faint hint of apple, like a fresh cut green apple, or perhaps an apple pie. I kind of get both, oddly enough. You know this reminds me of, right off the rip on the nose, it reminds me of like Wilderness Trail. Now I know none of their stuff's that old, but it's got that like dessert bready note that they have on them that I find enjoyable. So it's got that, and then it's got that green apple and a little bit of like baked apple pie note. Then just some caramel. But you know, it doesn't really smell sweet. If you were thinking it's going to smell really sweet, it doesn't smell really that sweet to me. Overall, not the most pungent and bold nose, I will say. It's more subdued. You got to work to pull these notes out. Yeah, it's kind of that desserty bread note, a little bit of the apple, but it's not overpowering at all. All right, let's take a sip. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's got a pop of apple, some caramel, and then a good, like, just, you can tell these bourbons are all heavy on the rye. There's just like, there's a lot of rye spice and just baking spices that follow through. And it has a decent finish for being 98.6 proof. I really can't, critique it on that. It's a bit thin on the mouth, but it's got a pretty decent finish. Like I said, pretty spicy. All right, let's take one more sip. It's very good. The flavors are starting to develop more. There's a lot of caramel, some leather in here. You can taste that apple and just some of the rye spice. It's very well put together. It's a shame it's not higher proof. And I know the whole shtick to this whole thing is that Blood Oath is supposed to be 98.6, but this would be phenomenal at like a cask strength. I mean, it really would be. It's a shame that it's not. It wants to be more flavorful than it is. I can tell you that. All right, last sip. I like it. It's dangerously easy to drink. It's good. It comes down to value for you personally. So for me, this isn't going to be a rush out and buy it. I would try this at a bar first. I didn't have Pack 7, the one from last year. Didn't get it. In fact, I didn't get this year's either, right? Kevin gave me that bottle to review for you. But I have had other pours of Blood Oath. I've always found them enjoyable. But I always kind of was glad I just had a pour at a bar instead of spending the $110, $100, $120, $130 for a bottle that you're going to have to pay. So I'd say it's well put together. There's nothing bad about this bourbon. So if you like the Blood Oaths, you collect them. This one's probably one of the better releases. Go ahead and pick it up. Nothing to say there. My grade on this is going to be a B. I think it's above average in terms of its quality. But what hurts it is the price. What should this be? This should probably be like a $70 bourbon, 60 or 70. It would be a lot higher on the grading scale, but they're asking almost double what I think you should pay for this because of the proof. If they release this to you at a cask strength and said there's 14, 11-year-old and an 8-year that we finished, and they gave you the percentages, we don't know what percentage of what is in here, right? This could be like 98% 8-year finished Calvados and like 2% 14, 11, right? So it's hard to put a value on that. Yes, there's older whiskey in here. That does help it. You can taste that age, right? But it should be cask strength for the price they're asking. So if you like what you saw tonight, please like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. Stay tuned for more. Have a good evening, everybody.